It's official. On February 7th, Microsoft has announced a new version of its search engine Bing, available in preview right now.
I'm excited to announce that Bing is running on a new, next-generation large language model, one that is much more powerful than ChatGPT, and one that is customized specifically for search.
For the first time in 2 decades, search is about to experience a revolution. Since OpenAI released ChatGPT back in November 2022, people have been talking about the possibility of these language models like ChatGPT will overtake traditional search engines, which is the primary way for us to retrieve online information. I've already sent tweets saying Google is done by commenting that the responses from ChatGPT are unbelievably better than those spit out by Google. Others seem to be more skeptical. So for example, Francois Charlotte experienced his take on search engine integrating with large language models, saying search is a search problem, not a generation problem. Personally, I'm kind of with this idea. Language models work completely differently from traditional search engines, where traditional search engines are like retrieving information from databases, from some sort of organized collections of data. While language models, on the other hand, are like generation. It's all about text generations or text predictions. Because of this generative nature, language models will make mistakes, inevitably, and even worse, it will make up stuff, and it will show you the false information in an authoritative manner. So in my opinion, ChatGPT or similar language models themselves can't really anchor the searching functionality. So perhaps right now it's still a little premature to see that the search engine will be dead pretty soon. But after playing around with ChatGPT for a while, I believe that we all buy in the idea that language models are more intuitive and more straightforward. We have to admit that communicating with ChatGPT comes more naturally to us. So eventually, I think search engines will have to change. Integrating with language models will be an inevitable feature for search engines. And we're seeing this already coming out of this whole ChatGPT hype. So the idea isn't really about replacing search engines with language models. It's all about complementing search engines with language models. Now, back to our fundamental question, will ChatGPT challenge Google's dominance in the search engine world? Now, you think those AI geniuses at Google don't know what ChatGPT can or cannot do? Of course they know. Google probably has the best research teams topping the world. The concept of ChatGPT's transformer architecture was first introduced by Google. Actually, back in 2021, way before ChatGPT was released, Google researchers already explored the potential of incorporating large language models into search engines. I will have their article linked down below. It's a good read. In a nutshell, these researchers think, back in 2021, that generative language models are prone to hallucination, which basically means that they have the potential of giving strange or giving untrue outputs. So Google can't really take the reputational risk if something goes wrong with this new technology because people trust what they get from Google. And this is why Google has never officially released its LaMDA. If you're not familiar, so LaMDA is also a conversational AI system comparable to ChatGPT. Google did a demo on LaMDA back in 2021, which again was breathtaking.
What's it like being thrown through the air?
It's quite the experience, actually. The wind blowing against you, and the trees flying past are quite the sight. You never know where you'll land either.
What's the worst place you've ever landed?
That would have to be in a puddle. I was just barely still intact, so I was stuck there for a few minutes. It was quite annoying.
Oh, that sounds awful. Were you able to fly again?
Thankfully, I was. I had a few minor injuries to my wing, but you can't really tell unless you know what to look for.
But LaMDA is only reserved for a small group of AI developers, rather than publicly available as ChatGPT is. So Google is definitely well positioned technology-wise, but because of its low-risk budget, to me, I think Google is kind of missing out on this opportunity. Back in December 2022, Google exec hinted that billions of people across the globe use Google search engine, while ChatGPT just has a few million users. Can it imply that small companies like OpenAI has a higher risk appetite, but tech giant like Google can't really afford embedding unrigorously tested new tech into the search engine? However, is OpenAI Google's real competitor? No, the real competitor of Google is Microsoft, who has a relatively smaller market in their internet search, but has the same sizable amount of Office users. Now think about it. If Microsoft takes away Google's market share by complementing Bing with ChatGPT, that would be a terrible situation for Google. Now, in the battle between survival and reputation, clearly Google has chosen survival over reputation. So earlier this month, Google revealed its own generative AI model, Bard. But unfortunately, in its very first public demo, Bard made a factual error.
Google and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day they had today. Unfortunately, Google's new chatbot AI Bard has been giving incorrect answers. In particular, they posted a GIF or a GIF, I don't know how you say that, today of Bard in action on Twitter. And here's the thing. They described it as a launchpad for curiosity, and it would help simplify complex topics. Sounds good so far, right? But unfortunately, it was not so good.
Now, do you think it was this simple mistake that caused Google stock to collapse? Of course not. It's a lack of reassurance in investors that the company knows what it's actually doing. So clearly, this Bard debut was too hasty to inspire any confidence. It almost seems like Google doesn't even trust its own product, let alone deploy it to millions of users. So in this sense, ChatGPT, or Microsoft I should say, is way ahead. So there's no doubt that Google has to do something innovative to adapt to the evolving user needs, probably something that goes beyond just as good as ChatGPT, something that also embraces Google's commitment to ethical AI. And Google needs to do this fast, but certainly not in a hasty manner like it did earlier. Personally, I don't think this would be a problem because, again, Google has the top technological research teams and all these AI experts that OpenAI can never compete against. But research and making products are two different animals. So like this tweet mentioned, perhaps the institutional inertia is the only limiting factor here. So I would keep my eyes peeled for how this competition will unfold over time. But at the end of the day, I think the marriage between search engines and large language models is bound to happen. Now, what do you think about the future of internet search? Do you think Google will find a way to create a new viable business model around language model powered search? Or do you think Bing will be the new king of the future search world? Now, comment down below and share your thoughts with our community. Hope you find this video inspiring, and if you do, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And also don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you will get notified whenever I post a new video. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys pretty soon in my next video. Bye guys!